damn it. I want to see this shit. Come on. I'm sorry, that just scared me so much. It starts slow and then it picks up. That's amazing. That is amazing. This is not boring. Release the tapes. Fun stuff. I'm getting fired up here. If you're still here, let's go. Hey everybody, welcome to the Sarah Normal Activity. I'm your host, Sarah. We took a couple weeks off and now we're back. And today we're going to be talking about the Immaculate Constellation whistleblower document about UAPs and UFOs. And I'm real excited about it. I've been wanting to do this for months. And I took a couple weeks off for the holidays and I'm healing from surgery, so everything's fine. But I'm just like, we needed a minute, a little Sarah time. But we're back to it. We're getting back into it. And I've been rereading the whistleblower document. I don't know if any of you have read it. It's what they were sort of working from during the hearing in November. Just a breakdown of like what is actually happening with the Immaculate Constellation. And some of it is, legalese, obfuscation. Section 4, DOD bureaucratic records. This might get boring. If it's boring, I won't make you sit through it, but I'm still going to read it. But it is fascinating. It is interesting and fascinating and exciting. And I feel like if you didn't read it, then this is good. And I'm going to try to make it interesting because, it is me reading military documents. So it's not going to be, it's going to be what it is. It's going to be what it is. So just to catch you up, if you're just tuning in for the first time and you don't know what anything is, if you don't know exactly what we're talking about, I'll just catch you up on the Immaculate Constellation. So, the Immaculate Constellation is a unacknowledged special access program. They call it a USAP. I'm going to keep calling it a USAP going forward, but it's an unacknowledged special access program. So it's a program in the government that nobody talks about, that only certain people have have access to. X-Files, essentially. There is precedent for the Immaculate Constellation. In 1947, the Roswell crash precipitated Project Saucer, which was later changed to Project Sign. And that was established in 1948 by Air Force General Nathan Farragut Twining, who's the head of the Air Technical Service Command. And he was later he was appointed the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff by Eisenhower. So this is like a guy who even back in like the 40s was like, hey, you know what? We're seeing stuff in the sky. Let's study it. So I feel really good about that. He has there's a twining. There's only one N in the middle. So I'm going to say twining, like the T, but I'm not going to say twinning because that's like besties. But he released a memo about it and was like, this is an interesting thing. I'm not going to read the whole memo, but I will drop that in the description if you want to take a look at it yourself. It's interesting, and I appreciate that someone who was held in high esteem by the executive branch was also like, hey, this is worth looking at. Project Sign went through the whole thing, they did the deal, did what they were supposed to do. At the end, they were like, well, it's nothing. And then they closed it. And then they reopened it and called it Project Grudge, which started in 1950, I believe. And that resulted in a 29-page document from the United States Air Force. And it's the same thing where it's just like, well, some of this is, a lot of it's balloons and a lot of it's birds and some of it we don't know what it is. Close the book. And then reopen the book in 1952 with something called Project Blue Book. And Project Blue Book was the same thing. This document is significantly longer. We are going to do a Project Blue Book deep dive soon if you guys like me reading from documents because it's interesting, but, might be a tough sell. So Project Blue Book, it was the same thing. It was I keep saying uncategorized, unacknowledged special access program studying the presence, existence, capabilities of UFOs. They were called UFOs at the time. And it was closed in 1969. President Carter asked to reopen it because he was an experiencer.
I never have tried to identify it. What I saw, it was a light in the western sky. It was very unique. I never seen it before. So there were about 20 of us who saw it.
President Carter saw a UFO once, and he talks about it very openly, which is kind of cool and sweet. But they said no. During Project Blue Book, there was something called the Condon Committee, which is with like a smaller a committee to come together to study UAPs. And it was led by Edward Condon. He was a scientist who led the committee, and he was like a very big skeptic. And his goal kind of was to debunk it and to shut it all down. In an article titled UFOs I've Loved and Lost, which is like /S, sarcasm, he wrote, publishers who publish or teachers who teach any of the pseudosciences as established truth should, on being found guilty, be publicly horsewhipped. So that's the kind of guy he was. I don't disagree. I disagree because don't do that to horses. But I also I think that if people are trying to profit off of bullshit, then I don't think that that's right. But I do think that if we find things out, we should share that information. You know what I mean? The Project Blue Book was closed in 1969. 2007. So between 1969 and 2007, there is no open secret acknowledged USAP studying UFOs that I was able to find. I'm not saying it didn't exist. I'm just saying I was not able to, in my research, find it. There was something called the Majestic 12, which was unearthed documents that supposedly, it was supposed to be it was the briefing documents about UFOs for Eisenhower for his presidential in his orientation. But those documents were found to be fake. It was a hoax, I guess. And part of me is if the government is just this is bullshit, rip, hoax, phony, then I'd be all right, let me take a deeper dive. And I looked at some of it and it's, fine. But it was determined to be a hoax by the library, the National Congressional librarians. It was librarians. So I trust librarians. So the Majestic 12, I love that name too. I had an improv group briefly called Majestic 12. Because I just like that. This is great. This brings us to 2007. USAP called ATIP, which is the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, funded by billionaire Bigelow Aerospace. He runs Bigelow Aerospace and Budget Suites of America. So he'll shoot you to Mars, but if you want to stay here, why not be comfortable? Why not have a well-appointed kitchen for your extended stay? It unofficially ended in 2012, but it continued to be funded until 2017. It was led by Lou Elizondo, who we've all seen at this point. He was at the hearing in November, and he's on every podcast, which is great. I think, man, get that bag. He left. So he left in 2017. He whistleblew on the project and wrote a book, and he joined the guy from Blink-182, and they're looking for UFOs together, and so really great. Good for him. I just listened to him on an episode of Smartless, and it was a really good episode. But yeah, he's on. Nothing, no Tino shade. I'm just saying, like, if you put Lou Elizondo at podcast, you're going to have like a road trip covered. Let's just say that. Great. So this is just the unclassified. This is the sort of like announcement that Immaculate Constellation has been sort of, the whistle has been blown. And this is this is a FOIA case from the DoD. Description of alleged Immaculate Constellation program. Starting around 9 October 2024, Open Press broke about a story about a supposed unacknowledged special access program regarding unidentified anomalous phenomena, referred to as Immaculate Constellation. This USAP was allegedly created in 2017 and houses highly classified UAP evidence, videos, images, documentation, but is supposedly being managed without appropriate congressional awareness or oversight. The journalist who broke the story said that alleges that a source in the U.S. government, whistleblower, who came across the material accidentally, but this whistleblower has supposedly written a report delivered to Congress about the USAP. A second source referred to in a UK publication, not the original outlet that broke the story, confirmed to the UK publication that the USAP exists and is authentic. This USAP supposedly it has high quality evidence of encounters with UAP that have not been shared with Arrow or other managing UAP or other people managing the UAP mission. DoD spokesperson Susan Gao denied that Immaculate Constellation exists or that any evidence for it exists, stating the Department of Defense has no record, present or historical, of any type of SAP called Immaculate Constellation. The press has reported that the Immaculate Constellation will be raised and discussed at open hearings with Arrow in November 2024, which happened. I think she kind of got around it a little bit, though. Listen, when she said the Department of Defense has no record, present historical, of any type of SAP called Immaculate Constellation. I think there are a lot of ways that you can say that and let that be like a true statement. But whatever, good for her. Maybe they just kept it from her. You know what I mean? These things happen. All right, I have like a lot of information. I have a lot of information, but I think I'm just going to start reading, if that's okay with y'all. Because we have a lot to get to. It's 11 pages, so don't leave or pause and go get like a drink of some sort, some type of food item, and like buckle up. Don't worry, I won't make it boring. We're going to stop and talk. We're going to pause and talk, and we're going to chat about it. And if this annoys you, get down into that comment section and you tell me what you think. Page 1. Introduction. This document is the result of a multi-year internal investigation into subjects of unidentified anomalous phenomena, technologies of unknown origin, and non-human intelligence. So going forward, I'm going to say UAP, TUO, and NHI for non-human intelligence, technologies of unknown origin, and UAP. This investigation was undertaken in response to urgent and credible threats to the public good and safety of the United States of America and provided to Congress through the UAP whistleblower mechanisms established in the National Defense Authorization Act and the National Intelligence Authorization Act. The data consulted during this investigation and summarized in this report originate from non-public data held within the executive branch of the United States government. The author obtained access to this information while pursuing their lawful duties as an employee of the Department of Defense. The public version of the author's report was reviewed and approved for public release by the Department of State Bureau of Global Public Affairs. So, it continues. The results of this investigation are deeply disturbing. Elements of the U.S. executive branch I'm going to put some scary music in here. The results of this investigation are deeply disturbing. Elements of the U.S. executive branch have conspired to prevent the U.S. legislative branch from exercising its lawful powers of government with respect to the UAP, TUO, and NHI issues. The information provided by the author strongly suggests that the U.S. I am taking this seriously, but I have to make it interesting. Strongly suggests that the U.S. executive branch has been managing UAP, NHI issues without congressional knowledge, oversight, or authorization for some time, quite possibly decades. This criminal conspiracy keeps the elected government of the United States and its citizens ignorant to profound discoveries and dire threats originating from the existence of UAP, NHI, and their technologies. We're going to pause for a second here because profound discoveries and dire threats. That's what I'm going to call this episode, because that's what this is. That's what it all boils down to. Profound discoveries that could push us forward as a species, and dire threats. Their capabilities are so far beyond ours that if they wanted to take us over, it would not be a fight. That's how strong their technology is. But as far as being a threat, Lou Elizondo did say something interesting during the Smartless podcast where they were talking about, like, should we be afraid? Is this a threat? And he said, if you lock up your house at night and go to bed and you get up in the morning and there's dirty boot prints on your carpet, is that a threat? And it's like, not imminent, but you better find out where they're coming from. So and I feel the same way. I have respect for non-human intelligence, and I think I have a healthy fear of it. So that's where I am with that. It continues. Unambiguous evidence demonstrating the reality of UAP, NHI, and TUO has been made available to Congress by multiple independent UAP whistleblowers. This document is but one item of evidence brought to Congress. Much more exists, and hopefully will be made available. In this public version of the report, information is organized into 7 categories of evidence, including an unacknowledged special access program, imagery intelligence, IMINT, human intelligence, HUMINT, signals intelligence, SIGINT, USG bureaucratic records, USG, historical records, and other sensitive sources. All information in this report is derived from access to non-public information. Section 1, Unacknowledged Special Access Program, Immaculate Constellation. The Immaculate Constellation is an unacknowledged special access program established following the public disclosure of the ATIP OSAP programs by Luis Elizondo in 2017. Upon disclosure to Congress, it was determined that this USAP and its collateral information have not been lawfully reported to Congress. Immaculate Constellation's primary mission is collecting imagery intelligence on unidentified aerial phenomena and ARV-RV reproduction vehicles utilizing tasked and untasked U.S. military intelligence sources. I'm going to pause for 1 second to talk about reproduction vehicles. UAP is crafts that we see in the sky, phenomena that we see in the sky and in the ocean as well. They say aerial here, but they now say anomalous because it's not just in the air now, it's in the ocean. ARVs and RVs, anomalous reproduction vehicles, and reproduction vehicles are, I believe, that refers to aircraft, transmedia craft that have been reverse engineered from unidentified other vehicles. That's my understanding of what reproduction vehicles are. I don't know if I think that the suggestion, I don't know why they're called reproduction vehicles because I don't know if that is referring to, like, oh, this is something that we reproduced and reverse engineered, or if they're just calling spacecrafts reproduction vehicles because reproduction implies that it's a copy of something. So that's something that I worked on and researched, and that's something that I can't figure out for you right now. And hopefully, as more things are released, I understand, I can understand, like, why we call things what we call them, right? As a part of a network of SAPs linked to non-human intelligence and UAP technologies, Immaculate Constellation acts as a nexus for collecting, analyzing, and disseminating intelligence on the activities, capabilities, and locations of anomalous aerospace threats that originate from foreign or unidentified sources. So I think reproduction vehicles could also refer to foreign entities that have reverse engineered. But they only give you so much. You know, this is just the first page of the very long novel that tells the story. The Immaculate Constellation. Sorry. The intelligence, I'm insufferable. Thank you for being here. If you're still here, bless you. The intelligence within the Immaculate Constellation program primarily consists of high quality imagery intelligence and collateral measurement and signatures intelligence of UAPs and ARVs within the Earth's atmosphere. The collection platforms involved are a blend of tasked and untasked capabilities in low Earth orbit, the upper atmosphere, military and civilian aviation altitudes, and maritime environments. Immaculate Constellation pays particular attention to anomalous aerospace platforms that have been developed through the study or acquisition of technologies of unknown origin by foreign nations or unknown entities. UAP, and I think that's what we're talking about with our ARVs and RVs. UAP and ARV-RV signatures and preferred operating areas are known to the program, enabling a degree of strategic awareness and warning. Finally, this is not finally, we're on page 2 of 11. Finally, Immaculate Constellation shows that UAP and ARVs are operating around the globe, often in close proximity to sensitive foreign assets and locations. The categorization of Immaculate Constellation as a parent USAP with various child SAPs under its umbrella indicates a high level of compartmentalization and secrecy. In effect, Immaculate Constellation serves as a central or parent USAP that consolidates observations of UAP and ARV activities detected by tasked and untasked collection platforms. Sophisticated internal information security controls are a major part of the Immaculate Constellation program, which enforces the compartmentalization by detecting, quarantining, and transferring UAP and RV imagery collection incidents before they are circulated within the military intelligence enterprise. Hang on a second. We got to talk about this one. In effect, I'm going to go back. In effect, Immaculate Constellation serves as a central or parent USAP that consolidates observations of UAP and ARV activities detected by tasked and untasked collection platforms. Sophisticated internal information security controls are a major part of Immaculate Constellation program, which enforces compartmentalization by detecting, quarantining, and transferring UAP and RV imagery collection incidents before they are circulated within the military intelligence enterprise. So we're talking about the emails that were completely wiped from the system. We're talking about Men in Black. We're talking about it's just not on your phone anymore, right? That to me is very interesting, very interesting. And I'm looking forward to knowing more about that aspect. In conclusion, Immaculate Constellation shows that, this is not in conclusion, by the way, again, we're still on page 2. In conclusion, Immaculate Constellation shows that the USJ is not only aware of UAPs and TUO, but also foreign state efforts to replicate UAP and TUO capabilities. The data within Immaculate Constellation reveals the capacity of the U.S. Armed Services transmedium platforms. Immaculate Constellation also, this is how you know I'm not AI. I'm going to leave all the fuck ups in because this is to prove I'm not AI. Finally, the existence of the Immaculate Constellation provides verifiable evidence of the witting participation by elements of the U.S. Armed Services, Defense Civil Service, and the intelligence community in a global surveillance and reconnaissance mission tasked with monitoring UAPs and ARVs. Section 2. Section 2, USG Imagery Intelligence. The United States government maintains imagery intelligence databases accessible to personnel with appropriate security clearances and mission need. These databases are scattered across various organizations and services, leading to fragmented ownership structure. This dispersion complicates the timely and comprehensive gathering of intelligence, imagery intelligence related to UAPs. Control over access to these datasets primarily reside within the military intelligence enterprise, the combatant commands, the armed services, and individual program managers. The IMINT collected from datasets available to the DoD and reviewed for this report provide compelling evidence for UAP, which defy prosaic explanations. There's a large number of unique imagery sensors available to the U.S. military and intelligence community, including infrared IR, forward-looking infrared, FLIR, full motion video, FMV, thermal, and still photography. The multitude of wavelengths collected by these sensors have captured UAP characteristics that are difficult or impossible to observe with the human eye alone. Subtle atmospheric effects associated with UAPs are visible through sensors employed by the US military and intelligence agencies, enabling unique analytic techniques. The verifiable chain of custody for UAP IMENT collected by the US military assets ensures a high level of confidence in the accuracy and integrity of the data gathered. The following examples are presented. We have our food, we have our snacks. We're about to get some examples. CENTCOM. This is central. I have all this. Oh God, that's so good. I love JD. CENTCOM is US Central Command, is what CENTCOM means. Cuboid formation of metallic orbs. On USG networks, there exists daytime FMV and daytime FLIR footage of a formation of approximately 12 metallic orbs skimming the ocean surface at high speed before dispersing in multiple directions. The rapid and agile maneuvering of the metallic orbs were incompatible with known aerospace vehicles and were between 3 and 6 meters in diameter. In the opening segment of this footage, the approximately 12 metallic orbs flew in a tight cuboid formation. The metallic orbs were in 3 vertical square formations of approximately 4 orbs each, arranged in a 3-pronged configuration, creating the illusion of a cube shape at a distance. All the orbs were white hot against the black cold ocean in the FLIR footage, and each sphere created a faint atmospheric distortion, both around itself and as a heat shimmer contrail. The metallic orbs moved in this cube formation over the ocean for some time, before rapidly breaking formation as pairs. The sensor platform lost track of most of the metallic orbs as they ascended in altitude and accelerated in speed, but maintained observation on a pair of metallic orbs continuing the original trajectory of the larger formation. Another CENTCOM, Fast Mover. Fast Mover observed transiting over sensitive facilities. On USG networks, there exists FLIR footage of a small medium oval UAP flying at high speed and low to the surface. The footage begins as routine surveillance of a sensitive coastal facility when the oval UAP rapidly comes into frame as it flies above coastal facilities. The oval UAP then makes a rapid turn towards the ocean, where it is tracked by the collection platform. The oval UAP is tracked flying low over the open ocean at high speed before the track is lost. And I think this is, I mean, we all know this, but it's good to just remember that, like, these are not balloons, these are not birds. They're moving at incredibly high speeds. They're stopping on a dime. They're making incredible maneuvers that there's a reason we're looking at them. There's a reason we are aware. Indopacom is, this is the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command. Intelligence vessels positioned to collect on reproduction vehicle. On USG networks, there exists an infrared footage of and imagery of a grouping of vessels engaged in signal intelligence and measures and signatures intelligence at night in a specific area of the Pacific Ocean. In this footage, which was in close proximity to the vessels, a large equilateral triangle UAP suddenly appears over the ships. 3 bright points are seen in each bottom corner of the UAP, which is observed to slowly rotate on its horizontal axis. This rotation partially reveals a horizontal bar of sweeping lights. Intelligence analysis associated with this event specifies that the equilateral triangle is a reproduction vehicle and concludes that the vessels must have been aware of the RV's frequent use of these coordinates due to foreign prepositioning and advanced collection assets at the exact time and place. After a brief period of hovering and slowly rotating approximately 500 to 1,000 meters above the ocean, the RV suddenly disappears. And the footage ends. I like this one because it implies that we knew they were going to be there. This event specifies that the equilateral triangle is a reproduction vehicle and concludes that the vessels must have been aware of the RV's frequent use of these coordinates due to foreign prepositioning of advanced collection assets at the exact time and place. So they got hotspots. They got hotspots. And it disappeared. I'm getting fired up. It disappeared. It's a bird. It's a balloon. Do they disappear? I don't think they do. I don't think they do. Indopacom, equilateral triangle UAP tails unwitting vessel. On USG networks, there exists infrared footage of an equilateral triangle UAP, approximately fighter jet size, hovering less than 200 meters above a vessel in the night at a location in the Pacific. Intelligence analysis associated with this event. Let's take another run at that sentence. Intelligence analysis associated with this event specifies that the equilateral triangle is an ARV-RV of unknown origin. The vessel gives no signs that it is aware of the ARV-RV, maintaining altitude and bearing directly overhead. 2 lights on the underside of the RV are visible, while a third is blocked from view due to a slightly upward angle of orientation. I'm curious what makes them use RV and UAP. That's where I'm at right now. If anybody has any insight on what makes them I mean, maybe it's obvious and I'm kind of dumb, but like, what makes them decide like this is definitely an ARV, this is definitely a UAP? Like, I think it's just because I don't have enough information. They got to release it. Release the tapes. And Dopacom again, large disk using clouds as concealment. On USG networks, there existed overhead projected infrared footage of a large saucer-shaped UAP emerging from within a dense cloud formation. The saucer registered black hot against white cold, with atmospheric disturbances caused by the saucer-shaped UAP visible. The saucer was between 200 and 400 meters in circumference and displayed symmetrical concavities on the upper surface. The saucer-shaped UAP emerges at a shallow angle, traveling upwards towards the outer atmosphere. After breaking above the cloud cover, the saucer-shaped UAP suddenly reverses its direction, descending partially back into the cloud cover, then accelerating rapidly out of frame and partially obscured by the cloud tops. It's misspelled, but this behavior was evasive in nature and implied that the saucer-shaped UAP had become aware that it was under observation by a space-based collection platform. They know. Endobacom boomerang, UAP observed by pilot and sensor suite. On USG networks, there exists FLIR footage of a swept boomerang UAP maneuvering at an uncertain altitude at a location off the eastern coast of a country. The UAP is tracked against clouds by the sensor suite of the operating craft. The UAP is observed rapidly decelerating to a stationary hover, followed by the sudden emission of a sphere of light from the junction of the 2 wings, which expands to partially engulf the craft in a rotating sphere of light, at which point the available footage ends. I want to see that. So bad. I want to see a sudden emission of a sphere of light to burst from the bottom of a vessel and engulf it in a rotating sphere of light. I want that. I want to see that. I love that. That's so spacey. I'm sorry. Like I'm into this, and I'm into the science of it, and I'm into the approach of it, and I'm into the military aspect. I'm into the governmental aspect. I'm into the political aspect of it. I'm into the personal aspect of it. But God damn it, I want to see this shit. Come on, Northcom. This is protection of North America, Alaska, and like the Caribbean as well. Jellyfish, you don't need to know that, but I'm just telling you. So that I'm not just, sometimes there's just like terms and stuff that everyone's just like, oh, we just use that term. And I think you should know what it is. Jellyfish. Let's go. Let's go. I want to see a jellyfish in real life. I want to see a jellyfish. I want to see a real jellyfish, and I want to see one of these jellyfish. I saw a jellyfish last summer at the beach. It was jellyfish UAP crosses the U.S.-Mexico border. We do have footage of this. This has been declassified, I believe. On USG networks, there exists FLIR footage of an irregularly shaped UAP flying across the southern border. The UAP appeared in FLIR to be modeled irregularly with hot-cold emissions and approximated a jellyfish or floating brain. with hanging appendages in appearance. I'm going to drop that footage right here. The UAP flew against the wind with no visible means of propulsion, maintained an unnatural rigidity in its movements and flight path, and maintained a comparatively low altitude to geographic features. In appearance and behavior, footage of this UAP violating the airspace of the southern border resembled the same class of UAPs observed near DoD facilities in Iraq and Afghanistan. There exists at least one compilation video. They made a mixtape of this class of UAP sourced from the DoD Force Protection Assets and Theater ISR, which uses this footage as a point of comparison. Northcom supersonic range fowler. A range fowler is just something that that interrupts military activity. Anything that interrupts military activity is a range fowler. Range fowler intercepts a U.S. In the Navy, USN, United States Navy fighter. On USG networks, there exists FLIR footage and radar data of a supersonic UAP of uncertain characteristics conducting a head-on intercept of a USN fighter operating off the eastern seaboard. The UAP is observed emerging from a cloud bank at high speed and approaching the USN aircraft head-on, rapidly passing over the left side of the cockpit. Radar data from this approach tracks the UAP on its approach toward the craft, providing information on speed, heading, and elevation. Southcom. This is command of South. Tic Tac. This is the Tic Tac thing. We've talked about Tic Tac. This is just, they're mentioning the Tic Tac. Tic Tac is big. Tic Tac was declassified. How's my hair? On USG networks, there exists OPIR imagery and mass int of a Tic Tac UAP transiting through an area of the Atlantic Ocean. The Tic Tac maneuvers at an altitude at or near local cloud cover, and correlated electromagnetic signatures were collected by mass int. In the available footage, the Tic Tac UAP transits rapidly through the field of regard as it transits the ocean. No observed reaction is seen to come from the vessel, but its proximity and time and place to the time and space to the trajectory of the UAP suggests foreknowledge of the UAP event by intelligence. I love that. That's something that they're not taught, that they don't think they mentioned during the hearing, is that not only are we like collecting that, not only does this information exist, but we know when, where, and what they're doing, and we're aware of it. And a lot of it is in the ocean. So I feel like they're intercepting them, a lot of them in the ocean. So I'm very interested to know where these sightings are happening. Very interested to know where these are happening. Section 3, Defense Human Intelligence Reporting. The USG maintains a database. There are more examples coming up, by the way. This is a little bit more information, and then we've got fun stuff. Section 3, Defense Human Intelligence Reporting. The USG maintains we're on page 5, by the way, if anyone's asking. The USG maintains a database of intelligence collected by military personnel across a plethora of topics, including UAP. These individual reports are considered raw because they have not undergone evaluation, corroboration, or contextualization into a finished analytical product by military intelligence community analysts. And it should release the tapes. A significant volume of reports documenting first-hand encounters of the UAP or unidentified flying objects by DoD personnel exists within defense human databases. Many of these UAP reports are filed. Now we're talking about like human intelligence. We're talking about like, these are people talking about it. This is I saw it. Many of these UAP reports are filed by military aviators and pilots, as well as service members trained in foreign military intelligence collection activities, and often include photographic evidence and sensor data. When aggregated, these reports reveal significant information on UAP. This section is directly informed by reviewing over 400. Let me take this again because I want us to hear this. This section is directly informed by reviewing over 400 defense human intelligence reports on encounters with UAPs, UFOs, by the United States government personnel spanning from 1991 to 2022. It must be noted that this data set is not exhaustive. Other human intelligence data sources exist which are omitted from this analysis. The defense human intelligence data set summarized here highlights notable trends in the reporting stream and are presented here along with specific examples. So here's what we're getting into: common UAP UFO shapes observed in defense human intelligence data set. From 1991 to 2022, the most common UAP shapes reported by the USG dataset were spheres orbs, disc saucers, ovals tic tacs, triangles, boomerang arrowhead, and irregular organic. The triangles, boomerangs, arrowhead shapes were by far the rarest, and the spheres the most common. Variations of morphology within these categories are present, i.e. smooth spheres and spheres with protuberances, saucers without domes and saucers with domes, smooth ovals and ovals with surface structures, jellyfish or floating brains with appendages, and elongated triangles, as well as equilateral triangles. Sphere or orb. Spheres were the most reported shape, with variations ranging from smooth featureless orbs to spheres with visible openings or appendages. These objects' prevalence suggest a possible standard UAP design or function capable of high maneuverability and speed. The diversity within the sphere category, spanning from simple polished appearances to more complex structures with appendages, suggests a broad range of purposes or technologies unique to the platform's mission and/or the originator. Disc or saucer. Saucer-shaped UAPs reported with and without domes were the second most common shape reported. Flat saucers were also reported as well, with these being disc-like objects without pronounced domes. Traditional biconvex UAPs are also reported in the data. Oval or tic-tac. Oval-shaped UAPs were infrequently reported within the dataset, and only after approximately 2003. These UAPs were either maintained a uniform egg-like symmetry, occasionally tapered into a teardrop shape. Cylinders with convex ends, tic-tacs, fall into this category, and occasionally featured visible protuberances on the top or bottom, because who knows, of this otherwise uniform planform. Triangles. Triangles were among the rarest UAPs reported in the data. Most of these sightings were equilateral triangles, occasionally with vertical stabilizers visible on the top of the UAP. Elongated or isosceles types were reported, occasionally with the same vertical stabilizers observed on the equilateral shape. Boomerang or arrowhead. Boomerangs and arrowhead-shaped UAPs were also among the rarest reported. The boomerang UAPs exhibited bilateral symmetry with sweeping wings and a high aspect ratio. Arrowhead UAPs also showed bilateral symmetry but possessed tapered wings and a low aspect ratio, typically with high or swept leading edges. Irregular or organic. My favorite. Irregularly shaped UAPs, those that defy simple geometric description, were among the rarest reported sightings. Shape-shifting UAPs also appear in the dataset, typically having a spherical or disc-like base form from which irregular geometries are seen to project. Floating brain or jellyfish UAPs are present as well, characterized by a central mass from which the multiple arms or spars hang downward. Finally, combined shapes were also observed, including cubes within spheres, ringed saucers, and various rectangular and cuboid forms. This is where I'm going to take you back real quick. So we've just heard these are the shapes that we've observed. These are the shapes that have been observed. And I'm just going to go over it one more time. Sphere, orbed, disc, oval, tic-tac, triangle, boomerang, irregular, organic. If we go back to Project Saucer, Project Sign, the first one, there are 4 flying discs, very low aspect ratio aircraft, torpedo or cigar-like bodies with no wings, fins visible in flight. So I think back in the old days, they would say cigars. I don't think people smoke cigars anymore. We like Tic Tacs and eggs. So I think torpedo, cigar, Tic Tac. 3 spherical or balloon-shaped objects, and 4 is bowls of light. The first 3 groups are capable of flight by aerodynamic or aerostatic means and can be propelled and controlled by methods known to aeronautical designers. The 4th appears to have no physical form attached, but the means of support may not have been seen by the observer. That is from 1949. This is from the Twining memo. The apparent common description is as follows: metallic or light reflecting surface. This is the description from the Twining memo about UAPs. Metallic or light reflecting surface. Absence of a trail except in a few instances where the object apparently was operating under high performance conditions. Circular or elliptical in shape, flat on the bottom and domed on top. Several reports of well-kept formation flights. Cuboid, remember from the beginning? Several reports of well-kept formation flights varying from 3 to 9 objects. Normally no associated sound except in 3 instances, and a substantial rumbling roar was heard. Level flight speed, normally above 300 knots, are estimated. So, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's like we've been seeing the same thing. It's from the 40s, right? 80 years we've been doing this. Common observable behaviors and characteristics of UAP UFO shapes observed in Defense Human Intelligence data set. So this is, they're just breaking it down. What people have said. This is 400 reports. The sphere orb, the size ranges from small objects to those several meters in diameter. The speed is capable of stationary hovering to rapid acceleration. Speeds surpassing conventional aircraft have been noted. Signatures often lack conventional signatures such as heat trails, electromagnetic effect on military electronics reported. So electromagnetic effects on military electronics has been reported. So the orbs mess with your phone. That's how I'm breaking it down. Colors varied with gray metallic, gray blue, white yellow, and red orange red being prevalent. Surface details. They range from completely smooth and reflective to having visible protuberances, appendages, concavities, and openings. The behaviors: high maneuverability, including abrupt direction changes, and the ability to hover. Often observed to fly in complex geometric formations and to operate in tandem. So this is what I'm learning about orbs, is that like if you just see one, that might be Venus. If you see a bunch moving together, they might be drones. They might be fun. Okay. Atmospheric phenomena. Occasional disturbances in cloud formations and heat wave contrails have been reported, and biological effects. Close observers reported feelings of unease and of electronic device malfunctions. So this is why it's really hard to film them. You know, it's like everybody's got a phone in their pocket, and like they know that, and they're very smart. Disc saucer. Generally range from a few meters to over 20 meters in diameter. Exhibits capabilities for both hovering and high-speed flight, often making sudden sprints. Signatures. Radar detection varies. Visual sightings are more common. Some reports include a humming sound. Their metallic silver or gray is common. Most have been reported as emitting a light changing color. Variations, surface details. Variations include smooth, featureless surfaces to those with visible domes or segmented panels. Visible dome, man. That is an old school flying saucer. That's old school. That's the first, it's like a 57 Chevy of flying saucers. Behaviors. Sudden vertical ascents, hovering, and silent operation. Some are... silent operation. Could you imagine just like turning around and seeing a giant, again, flying saucer? It's completely quiet. It would freak me out so much. Some reports indicate the ability to become invisible or blend into the sky. Unique emissions. Instances of electromagnetic interference in nearby devices and vehicles. Atmospheric phenomena. Visual disturbances such as shimmering air or sudden fog formation. Oval tic-tac cigar. Lengths typically from 60 to 40 meters. That's kind of a range. 6 to 40 meters, I should say. I'm sorry. Speed is high speed travel, and instant acceleration have been frequently reported with no sonic boom. That's impossible. That's not something that any aircraft that exists can do. Just so you know that. That's not, instant acceleration is not possible. Signatures. Visual identification often notes a lack of contrail. Colors tend to be white or silver. I like the orange Tic Tacs, but I like the vanilla. Surface details. Uniformly smooth surface with occasional reports of protuberances that could be sensors, propulsion elements, weapons, or unknown technology. Behaviors. Observed ability to hover and then accelerate suddenly. Some encounters describe them as maintaining stable positions despite high winds. Table 4, triangular size, medium to large size, ranging from F-16 to football field size. Football field sized triangle in the sky. I want to see one so bad. Capable of slow, precise movement as well as rapid acceleration to speeds beyond conventional aircraft. Signatures often reported to emit a soft humming sound, may affect electronic devices within a certain proximity. The colors are black or dark gray, sometimes with white lights at the corners and a central red light. Reports of twinkling stars across the surface. Twinkling stars across the surface. I want one. Surface details. Some have described with visible surface textures like panels or ridges and occasionally stabilizers. Behaviors. Hovering is common, as is silent flight. The ability to suddenly vanish or accelerate rapidly is frequently reported. The triangular UAPs often emit focused beams of light. Toroidal light patterns, that just means like a donut. Toroidal light patterns are sometimes observed to emanate from a central point, leading to rapid acceleration or disappearance. Sorry, I'm not tired at all. I'm so jazzed about this. Light patterns are sometimes observed to emanate from a central point, leading to rapid accelerations or disappearance. Long-term biological effects, long-term psychological effects, such as anxiety or insomnia, have been noted, along with a feeling of being watched or shared awareness with the triangle UAP. So it's the size of a football field, and you can think with it. This is not boring. Release the tapes. Table 5, boomerang arrowhead. Wingspans can exceed 30 meters, especially for boomerang-shaped UAPs. Arrowheads typically range from F-16 size to slightly larger. They exhibit both gliding at low speeds and the capacity for high-speed flight. Visual sightings often note a slow, silent flight profile. They're typically dark, blending with the night light, though some reports include glowing edges or tips. Smooth surfaces with a notable aerodynamic design. The arrowhead types show more angular features. Behaviors, it's known for silent operation and the ability to execute tight turns. Unique emissions. Seen to emit a spherical ball of light from the center line, which partially envelops the UAP during maneuvers, causing electromagnetic interference with local technologies. I did fix my light. I don't know how long it was like that, but here's. It's fine. Irregular organic. Highly variable from small, compact forms to large, more sprawling structures. Movements range from slow drifting to rapid acceleration, often unpredictable. Some reports include unusual sounds or the absence of expected aerodynamic noise. Electromagnetic effects are common, often described with bioluminescent qualities or shifting colors, particularly for floating brain or jellyfish types. Descriptions vary widely, from smooth, fluid-like surfaces to complex, articulated structures. Behaviors. Demonstrates a wide range of behaviors, from controlled maneuvering to erratic patterns of movement. Shape-shifting abilities have been reported. Observations include physical sensations of warmth or cold, unexplained smells like ozone, and psychological distress. The floating brain jellyfish UAPs occasionally exhibit patterned luminescence or fluctuating lights and colors, typically only visible on the higher end of the electromagnetic spectrum. Sudden temperature drops and the appearance of clouds have been reported. We're on page 9, so I think we're almost to the end. I think we can do this. I think hold my hand and we'll fly away. This is more cool shit. So it starts slow and then it picks up. Examples of defense human intelligence reports on UAP. Close encounter by CVN flight deck personnel. While on active duty in the Pacific, flight deck personnel working night duty experienced a close encounter with a spherical UAP of medium-large size. On-duty flight deck crew observed a small, orange-red sphere maneuvering at high altitude above the CVN. Shortly after the first observation, the UAP rapidly descended from high altitude to a position directly above the flight deck of the CVN, height approximately 100 to 200 yards. The UAP maintained altitude and matched speed with the underway CVN for an uncertain period. The observing personnel reported altered perceptions of time during the close encounter. The UAPs appeared to emit a soft orange-red light, which bizarrely did not illuminate the ocean or the flight deck of the CVN, despite the visual appearance of intense luminosity. The surface of the UAP, that's interesting. The surface of the UAP was observed to be dynamic, roiling like the surface of the sun. The UAP took no reported actions during the encounter, only maintained close in proximity to the CVN. After an uncertain period, because time didn't exist for these men and women, after an uncertain period, the UAP suddenly shot into the air, disappearing at a point high above the CVN. Observing personnel felt as if they had snapped out of a trance and a sense of profound unease. The incident report concludes with noting that the CVN had not responded in any way to what was perceived as a hostile interception by the UAP. That's amazing. That is amazing. Right? Metallic, I'm not going to comment on all of them, but that is amazing. Metallic orbs intercept F-22 on CONUS air surveillance control mission. While performing a routine airspace surveillance and control mission in the Eastern Air Defense Sector, an F-22 fighter observed multiple UAP contacts at mission altitude. Moving to intercept the F-22 pilot noticed multiple metallic orbs, slightly smaller than a sedan, hovering in place. Upon vectoring toward the UAPs, a smaller formation of the metallic orbs accelerated at rapid speed toward the F-22, which was unable to establish radar locks on the presumed hostile UAPs. The F-22 broke trajectory and attempted to evade, but was intercepted and boxed in by approximately 3 to 6 UAPs. One UAP maneuvered in proximity, approximately 12 meters, to the area directly starboard of the cockpit, where the UAP established a rigid spatial relationship. So creepy. Where there the UAP established a rigid spatial relationship with the F-22, maintaining its exact position and orientation parallel with the F-22's cockpit, despite multiple evasive rolls and maneuvers. Surrounded by the presumed hostile UAPs, the F-22 was forced out of the mission area under the escort of the UAP formation. Oh my God. Like, I've read this before, but just feeling that he tried to get away and it was right there and it wouldn't fucking move. Oh God. I'm sorry, that just scared me so much. I've read this before and that scared me. Oh. Perimeter of sensitive facility breached by the UAP. At a military airfield, we're really close to the end. At a military airfield located on the eastern seaboard, ground personnel reported a lengthy, low-altitude intrusion late at night by a small, spherical UAP. Hey, you little guy. The UAP displayed visual signature management appearing as a blurry sphere around which the light was distorted or bent. This effect emanated outward from the central sphere, giving the appearance of a heat haze or a misty volume of distorted light. Ground personnel reported eye strain, headaches, and a feeling of unease or dread while observing this dark sphere. The UAP was first observed while slowly crossing the runway, moving in the direction of a sensitive area. Once across, the UAP hovered above a grouping of ground equipment before floating further toward a building within the sensitive area. The UAP then floated either to the building, around the building, before suddenly, it just says the UAP then floated the building, before suddenly disappearing. If the UAP floated the building, I want to see that. Float my building. Ground personnel were uncertain of the length of the encounter, but estimated their observation lasted between 10 and 15 minutes. Time stops. Like you're not just seeing, like, it's scary, and I appreciate it, and I respect it, and I love it, and I want to know more about it. Section 4, DoD bureaucratic records. This might get boring. If it's boring, I won't make you sit through it, but I'm still going to read it. Discrepancies found throughout the internal records of AARO and DoD interactions with Congress cast serious doubts on the integrity of the DoD statements to the elected leaders of the United States government. This is kind of the spanking. Extant transcripts held by the DoD leadership show a pattern of trivialization, obfuscation, and outright denial of UAP data in what were intended to be highly classified, private, and transparent conversations with appropriate congressional members. This same behavior also prevents critical members of Congress from receiving an accurate assessment of the national security risks posed by UAPs. Specific examples known to the author include denying the existence of multiple compartmented access programs owned by military intelligence agency which directly related to the UAP mission, denying the existence of joint DoD interdepartmental special access programs directly related to the UAP mission, and the study of TUO. And finally, the denial of the existence of the Immaculate Constellation by DoD representatives to appropriate congressional members and their staff. Separately, additional internal records confirm the claims of Mr. Lou Elizondo regarding the ATIP-OSAPs mission activities and findings. Additional documents support the exceptional character and credibility of Mr. Elizondo. These non-public documents include letters of commendation, service award nominations, performance promotion reviews, archived email chains, and ATIP-OSAP program briefings, which directly corroborate the public statements of Mr. Elizondo. These records also provide additional insight into the activities of ATIP-OSAP and the evolution of the program's findings and its interactions with senior DoD leadership. Finally, these records provide insight into the highly classified and suppressed areas of scientific research and technology development derived from the study and exploitation of UAP NHI technologies. Section 5, restricted USG historical records. There's a serial number, G00162-78. This serial number corresponds to an official NSA report published in 1978. The existence and content of this report was verified by accessing the appropriate intelligence archives. The substance of the report concerns scientific research of the Soviet Union on the topics of parapsychology, psi, and biological effects of UAP on human beings. Additionally, the existence of this reporting stream demonstrates that U.S. intelligence was explicitly tasked to collect on foreign entities active in areas often relegated to the fringes of the scientific research, including parapsychology and the biological effects of encounters with UAP. The fact that significant intelligence resources were dedicated to understanding and exploiting information related to UAPs and NHIs highlights a strategic commitment to understanding the full scope of UAP, NHI, and TUO. These and other classified accounts provide a rare public glimpse and reveal the contours of a secretive, decades-long competition between major terrestrial powers to collect, exploit, and field novel technologies derived from the study of UAP and NHI. Section 6. A substantial body. We're on the last page. Thank you so much, by the way. We're heading home. Section 6. Signals intelligence. A substantial body of sensitive signals collected from peer and near-peer countries demonstrate foreign awareness of UAP events occurring over their sensitive military and intelligence facilities, including nuclear weapons facilities. Due to the exceptionally sensitive nature of the sources and methods involved, only general conclusions are provided here. Foreign countries are known to have observed UAPs whose signatures and behaviors correlate with those in the observed by the United States. These UAP events are treated by the security apparatuses of each state as serious national security threats due to UAP in proximity to sensitive military and intelligence facilities. These facilities are most often associated with aerospace defense, strategic deterrence, and military-sponsored scientific research and development. On multiple occasions, each of these nations have attempted to intercept and shoot down UAPs, violating their territorial airspace and the airspace over sensitive facilities. Foreign countries have internal organizations dedicated to studying the ambiguous threat posed by UAPs, deducing scientific principles through observing UAP and the careful management and public perceptions of the UAP issue. Section 7, from mouth to ear. They wrote sensitive sources and then didn't write any. And mouth to ear is like, that's what you're into. Conclusion. The official disclosure of the existence of non-human intelligence and their presence on Earth is a pivotal moment in human history. The nature of this information is of such incomparable relevance to the public good that it demands to be shared. Some may object and say that disclosure at this time poses too many risks. To them, it must be said that we will never be able to predict how individuals, families, communities, and nations will react to revelations of such magnitude. Moving forward, we must guard against the lure of authoritarian solutions justified by expediency and appeals to national security. The good in humanity will always triumph over time, and it is in moments of crisis that our capacities for achieving the extraordinary are discovered. Be not afraid. And it ends with Scientia igne probata veritas perfidum. Truth, knowledge, faith. That's the document in its entirety. I'm going to probably cut. I'll have everything that I have all of my sources cited, so that you can take a look yourself. I might cut this down a little bit, but I don't want you to miss any of it. It just there's just so much in there. It's so good. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. I don't know where we're at with this. Canada just released a report on their UAP deal, so I'm going to take a look at that, and maybe we'll take a look at that next. But yeah, just if you're still with me, I really appreciate it. Just check in with me down in the comments. If you've gotten this far, put a little pine tree in the comments so that I know you're here and that you made it this far, and give yourself a gold star because it's long. But I thought I think it's interesting. It's just really interesting. I mean, it's out there for anybody to read, but I thought it would be fun for us to read together. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know where we're going next. I don't know what else there is. I know that, in the coming days, someone will be taking over. The executive branch will be changing pretty significantly. So, and people are saying that that's going to be this, but he also promises a lot of things. So we're not going to talk about politics, but I feel like a person who just sort of over promises tends to, I'm not going to hold out a lot of faith for that. I'll believe it when I see it, except for UFOs. I believe them. I don't need to see them. I want to see one. I want to see one so bad. What kind do you want to see? What's your favorite kind? What's your favorite kind? What's your favorite kind of UFO? I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks so much. Bye.